All right, going live in three, two, one. Well, this is No Limits with Amanda. Amanda, how are you doing? You're going to hate me for this, but how do you pronounce your last name again?
That's okay. It's fine. It's Gargiulo.
Gargiulo. Okay. What is that? What is that? Is that Italian?
Yes. So I'm married. My husband is Italian.
Ah,
So
okay. Okay. I was going to ask if
I
you were
inherited the name.
you know, so are you Italian yourself?
I'm actually not. My background is Jewish and Austrian and German and Russian.
Oh, okay. Interesting combination there. My grandmother, on my dad's side was 100% Italian. So I inherited her big nose. She had a big nose. I have a big Italian nose too. So you see pictures of my grandmother, my dad, and me. We all have very similar facial features. It's kind of funny. So
Strong genetics, right?
yes. So how you doing? How's everything going with you today? Everything going okay?
Yeah, today things are good. It's been a quite a busy week, which has been exciting. Yeah.
Well, the I can tell you here, I've been going out. It's the middle of August, and last year at this time, it was for some reason there was this nonstop thing. It was like this. It just constantly rained last year at this time. I don't know why it did that. This year the rain is not too bad, so I'm feeling a little better with that. Hopefully the rain doesn't. I say that and probably start kicking. The rain will start kicking in the next day or so and just be nonstop. It got so bad that I don't drive the primary car I drive on a regular basis. I wasn't driving it. I didn't driven it for like a few months actually. It was sitting in my driveway, and it caused my alternator and my starter to both go bad, and I had to replace both of those. That's how the rain was just so bad. Um, and also it's the time of the year. I don't know if you have to deal with this, but it's cricket season, and I cannot stand crickets. Do you have to deal with any crickets?
Oh, crickets are no joke. So we were looking at a few houses actually down the Jersey Shore, and one of the houses that we were looking at, they opened like what is it? It looks like one of those cellars that you go down to in the basement, like one of those what is it, like if there's a bomb, like a little bomb shelter thing, and you go down, and the crickets were the biggest things I ever saw. Somebody told me they're called spider crickets.
Oh, geez, yeah, I've seen those.
They're terrifying and they're so loud.
The when I first moved into my house, I have a bedroom in my basement. I decided I'd live for the first 2 years. I'd live in my basement, and the every time of this year, the crickets would just they would, not very many, one or two would just creep into the house somehow, and they're loud. Sometimes some of them are louder than my. You talking about loud? Some of them are louder than an alarm clock. I mean, I would be trying to sleep in the middle of the night, and all of a sudden I hear cricket, cricket. Really loud. I'm like, oh, and it's and I'd have to walk. I couldn't find them because the sound would just go echoing throughout the entire room. I was like, I couldn't pinpoint where they were. It just drove me crazy. And then eventually, it's through August, September, and into early October, and finally they just die off after a while. But that noise that you're talking about just gets so annoying.
I don't know how you were able to sleep knowing that there were crickets in your house. I would be freaking out.
Oh, the crickets myself they don't bother me too much. It's just the sound. I mean, there's only a few of them. So the one thing I will say here, I'm going to bring up an image here. So is this here we go. This my dad used to call these something else. I'm going to bring them up here. This is a an image of a spider cricket. There you go. Is that what you see right there?
Oh, they're so gross. Yes.
We used to get. I haven't seen those around my house now. When I was a kid, though, about 30. I grew up about maybe 30 or 40 miles from where I'm at right now. We used to get those in our basement a lot. So, and my dad would always say how he'd walk into the basement and like one would crawl up his leg, and he didn't know it was there until it was like halfway up his leg. So,
Oh, see, I don't know. Is that like a guy thing where guys are okay with that stuff? Like, it totally gives me like the heebie-jeebies. I wouldn't be able to sleep. Oh,
well, these don't bother me. These don't, but certain kinds of insects do. I maybe because I grew up with these. I think my dad hated these, but as far as these bugs, yeah, they never really bothered me. We had enough of them around the house, not in the house, but around the outside the house that we'd see them enough. It just didn't bother me, I guess. But other bugs or even spiders, because they're spiders not bugs. Once they get too big, then they start to creep me out. So that's the third. I did say yeah, I'm in a very rural area, and there are a couple of mice that get into my house once in a while. So recently, I had a leaky pipe, and I had to put a bucket down below the pipe. I haven't repaired it yet, and a poor little mouse got into the bucket and drowned. I didn't want it to die. Usually, if I see a mouse, I try to put him outside somewhere. But that's the other problem I have. Once in a while, it happens like once every 7 or 8 months. I get a little mouse that walks into my house. This one I didn't see though. So, but would you get creeped out if you saw a mouse?
Yes. My a few years ago, my mother had a mouse in her house. She actually got a cat to get rid of the mouse. It worked. The cat caught the mouse, but then oh man, she called me screaming her head off.
She was screaming because she was afraid of it.
Oh yeah, she was freaking out. She like and I'm sure the mouse was probably more afraid of her than she was of it, but she was jumping. She like jumped on the table so that she would stay away from the mouse.
My mother used to tell me this story. I don't know if this is real or if this is like an urban legend. I don't even know where she got it from, but she used to tell this story about how this woman was screaming when she saw a mouse, and the mouse jumped into her mouth, and the woman apparently swallowed the mouse. I don't know if that's true or not. If it is, that's pretty bizarre. So
That does sound like an old wives' tale. That sounds like it's like telling you, don't scream, don't make a big deal about it, because then you're gonna eat the mouse. Oh wow.
the other thing about my house I see very rarely they come into the house, but I see little lizards running around my house, which was not expecting to see out in the country, but they're all over the front yard of my house, and once in a while a little lizard will get in, and my cat will. Well, my cat that died, she died about a couple years ago, but she was a very skillful hunter, and if anything got into the house, she would catch it. The lizard was one time when she gave birth twice, first to three kittens, and then like a few years later to a single kitten. And I remember one time I walked to the corner of the house, and the two of them were just sitting there. And it took me a while to figure out what was going on. I finally looked down, and there was a lizard there, and she wasn't trying to kill the lizard. She had cornered the lizard so that her kitten, basically, it looked like she was trying to train the kitten on how to catch the lizard on its own. And I never I'd never seen anything like that. The kitten just sat there and looked at it. She didn't do anything, but I I I I'm guessing that's what it was, because normally if she was by herself, the lizard probably would have been dead already. So
That's so cool to think about how like animals do things. Because right, as humans, we have our words, so we could explain things, and we have like these preconceived notions and these. I don't know, like animals just naturally do things. I think they're so much smarter than humans.
instinctively, definitely in some ways. I agree with you on that.
Yeah, I think we tend to get in our own way, but like animals just do what they need to do.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's so interesting.
So would you like to check our question from last week to see what we got here? Kind of a response. I think you'll like this. I know before we went live, I told you I wanted to be more spontaneous. So you'll see what I'm talking about in a second here. Are you ready for this?
Yeah, I'm ready. I'm excited.
Okay, here's our question right here. What I was looking at here was the fact that we got 2,600 votes and 97 comments, which for the votes is not as high as they normally are. Sometimes we get up to like 6,000 votes, but I was surprised to see 97 comments. I was like, whoa, that's pretty good. So that's not bad. That's not bad for a question that's just basically asking a simple question like that. So, looking at the response here, we got 64% overwhelmingly with their own choice, 15% for Florida. We got a tie for Aruba and San Diego at 7%. Oh, I'm sorry, 8% with Bermuda, and then a tie with Aruba and San Diego at 7%. So I guess
Wow.
go ahead.
Sorry, that is a lot of comments. That's amazing. 97 people wrote in to let us know what they think.
Yeah.
It's
The
pretty incredible.
I was looking at the I've not read any of these responses, so we're going into these cold. Hopefully there's nothing weird here. So we'll see what we got in a second. But I think putting in the answers for this one, I don't think enough people appreciated what we put down. I obviously. So they were like, nope, nope, we don't want that. We don't want that. So I wouldn't have been surprised if that 64% would have been closer to like 80%, to be honest. So uh, let's take a look here. I can't read the name. Sorry. It says Volto 92. Let's see. Mr. Was that Philip? Says you have to excuse me. By the way, I'm looking at a computer monitor that's about 4 feet away from where I'm sitting. So sometimes I have a hard time. It's not that I can't read it. It's just that it's just a little too far away from me. So I apologize if I mispronounce something. Let me know. So it says Mr. Philip says Belgrade, where I was born and where I will die.
That's a little morbid. Okay.
Yeah. Let's see. John says it was the Pacific Northwest, but it's not the right time. Let's see. The Bahamas, of course. Bermuda Triangle. So, are you a fan of the Bermuda Triangle? Do you believe in the mystery that people just disappear?
I do believe in the mystery. There was actually something I think on like the National Geographic Channel or something, like a special about it. It's very intriguing to me. It's like one of the wonders of the world.
Is that still a big thing? Because I remember that when I was a kid, and I thought it kind of faded away. Do people? I mean, what do you believe is causing that? Do you believe it's like some paranormal thing? Do you think it's just a natural occurrence, like maybe something like magnetism, like people throwing their equipment off, like something to do with the way I don't know, anything to do with nature, I guess is what I'm leading up to.
No, I don't know. I think it's supernatural. I think that there's so many things in the world that we just can't explain. Like if you ever look into the wonders of the world, like look at Stonehenge. Like we don't even know how it was built.
Mhm.
There's just so many things that are beyond our scope of understanding.
Hmm. Let's see. Bermuda.
What about you? What do you think? Do you think that it's a natural
Oh,
wonder, or do you think it's a made up story?
I'm usually the skeptic of everything. I usually just look at it like it's people just I most of the time I see something that's paranormal, I just go, well, it must be people wanting to believe something that they want to believe rather than looking at it more from a scientific perspective. So I tend to believe that it's if there's something like that where people are disappearing, it's more or less going to be just a coincidence of sorts. It just happens to be that things are happening in that area, or maybe there might be something that's causing it, like I said, like something to do with nature, or something to do with the anything that's might have to do with the magnetic poles. I threw magnets in there, because of because a lot of when you're in a plane, you're dealing with a lot of equipment, and so if something gets thrown off, you're not going to know where you're at, and so that could throw things off as well. So I try to look at it from a more skeptical point of view. So I don't think there's any paranoia aspect to it. That's just me. So.
No, that makes perfect sense. That was very well explained. I know it makes me want to ask you questions about how you feel about COVID.
Oh, okay. Like, what would you like to ask me then?
Like, do you believe that it was man-made? Do you believe in the vaccinations? Like, I know this could be like a very political debate, so I don't know if you're willing to go down that path. But
I'm
like,
fine.
yeah, but like, how do you feel about it? Are you like, do you feel like what's happening right now in New York? I don't know if you're following the news, if you know like that in New York, they're wanting to basically mandate the vaccine by September 13th, or else you can't be indoors in a restaurant or indoors at any venues like Broadway theaters or movie theaters. Do you think that this is something that was being created to help the government control people?
Oh, no, definitely. I don't believe that at all. I I do believe. Okay, here's what I feel, and there was another show I discussed this on not too long ago, but as far as the disease, I believe it's something that should be taken seriously.
Mhm.
But it seems to me like there was a major overreaction when it first came out. I think there's still a little bit of an overreaction to how it's being handled. because we've had other serious diseases out there, and we didn't react this badly to it, or this I should say this seriously to it, I should say, and within recent times. There have been other uh, pandemics, and I was actually surprised to find out in 1957 there was a pandemic that was actually worse than this one, and it's basically forgotten about. Um, and that one, I was actually children were more susceptible to that one. I can't remember what it was called. You can find it on the internet by doing a search. And uh, the idea, I don't even remember where I heard about it, but the idea was that the reason it was kind of forgotten is because during the 1950s, people had lived through, most of them had lived through World War II, so they were kind of hardened. They were used to living a more survivalist kind of attitude. So they were like, well, we'll just work our way through it. I don't know if
Yeah.
that's necessarily true or not, but I was, like I said, I was actually surprised to find out that there was something that happened that was a little bit more powerful than what we're going through right now. But I just think there was a major overreaction. The idea that the government's going to tell people that you have to get a vaccine that's going a little too far. Um, Especially since we don't know all the effects of what the vaccine could do to people over the long term. A lot of people, apparently there's not too many bad side effects in the short term, but what's going to happen in a few years? I don't know. The vaccines that we have for diseases that have been out for a while have been tested for long periods of time, like decades, even generations. So forcing someone to do something, and what are the consequences that may happen with that? So I'm not anti-vaccine. I'm just anti the idea of the government telling me that I should be doing something. That's my concern. So, um, and as for what was the other question? Was there another aspect to that you wanted me to answer?
No, I was just asking if you feel like the government has too much control at this point.
Certain governments, yeah, like what you're saying in New York, that sounds like, yeah, that's pretty. I think that's way too much control at that point. Yeah,
Mhm.
I know here in Virginia, it's not there's not that much. The only thing that's being debated right now is whether or not masks should be worn in schools, because a law was recently enacted um, about that all schools, regardless if they're public or private, the students have to wear masks, and a lot of people were objecting to that. So, and that's the only thing that really is that I've seen lately that's kind of being talked about. Are there any mask mandates where you are right now?
For the kids, no. In businesses, if you're not vaccinated, you have to wear a mask, but I don't know if that's gonna change, because I feel like things in New York are changing constantly, like day by day. I was in the post office yesterday, and the woman behind the counter was talking to me, and she wasn't wearing a mask, but they have, the plexiglass shields up. But she said she was holding a letter, like an official letter from the post from the USPS, and it was saying that as of right now they don't have to wear masks if they're vaccinated. But she was pretty shocked by that. Like she seemed like it was something that she didn't think was accurate. Like that was something that was going to be end up changing within the next few days anyway.
Oh, really? That soon? Okay. No, as far as like the state or federal level, I mean, because you're in a post office, I wasn't sure if it was like a federal thing.
Yeah, I guess maybe that's why they're not being mandated at this point to wear masks. If as long as they're vaccinated, they don't have to wear masks. But on the state level, I mean, it's right now, I don't know if it's business by business, because I know when I went to the nail salon, there was a sign on the door, if you're not vaccinated, you have to wear a mask. And then there was another sign that said masks are required. So on another door, another business. So I don't know if it's business to business. And then there are some restaurants now in New York that are filing lawsuits against the mayor.
Oh, yeah. The New York City. What's his name?
Yeah,
Didn't I forget his name now?
De
Yeah, but
Blasio. De
yeah,
Blasio.
yes,
Mhm.
yes. He's been doing some controversial things recently anyway, hasn't he? But I don't remember, like a couple months ago there was something, we had a poll up about should he be, because he had some sort of allegations against him. I can't remember what they were. I'd have to look that up again. But
Uh, I know the governor did, Governor Cuomo.
oh, maybe that's what I'm thinking of. I'm sorry, I'm getting them two mixed up there. That's probably what I'm thinking of. Yeah, go
That's
ahead.
okay. That's okay. That's fine. Yeah. So Governor Cuomo actually stepped down.
Oh, did he really? Oh my, I didn't even. Oh my goodness, I haven't really been paying attention. Wow, I didn't know that happened. When did that happen? Was that very recent?
Yeah, just a few days ago.
Oh,
Because the allegations against him with with sexual harassment. So
yeah, that's. I think that's what it was. Okay, wow. Okay, I didn't realize that happened. Ooh, I've been, yeah, I've been for the past couple of weeks. I've been avoiding anything that seems kind of controversial. I've just been watching lighthearted stuff on YouTube, like movie reviews, and I've been avoiding that kind of stuff. And I didn't. Wow, I guess I missed a lot.
yeah, that's what, honestly, sometimes you just need a break. Like with everything that's going on. I remember, like you were saying, with where there was an overreaction with COVID in the beginning, it was the news. I feel like the media was really, kind of, I don't want to say this in a negative connotation, but they were really shoving it down people's throats, where the most important thing that I did in the beginning to not feed into it was to shut the news off.
Hmm.
Because I felt like the media was really, really overreacting, and their overreaction was causing everybody else to be in this state of fear.
Yeah, and I'll tell you when the back when in the early part of last year, 20 around March when everything started shutting down. I remember where I'm at, it's very, like I said, it's very rural. And I was going to the supermarket and talking to people, and the people at the store had to wear masks. I remember the woman at the counter, the cash register, she had her mask, but she had it pulled down so like her nose was still exposed. And I could tell we were talking to each other, and we were like, and even the people that were in the other parts of the store, I talked to them and they were like, they didn't care. They thought it was just a major overreaction to the whole thing. So then I heard like in more urban areas, like in the city, it was the exact opposite. People were extremely terrified. Um,
Mm.
and you live in New York City, right?
Right. I live in Staten Island, one of the boroughs. Hmm.
Yeah, I mean, was it like that? I mean, if you go to a store where people were they really scared? I mean, how was it like where you were? I don't even know.
Yeah, in the beginning, I mean, we were all wearing masks. We were wearing gloves. Like people were freaked out. I had friends who didn't want to leave their house because we were on total lockdown.
Oh, wow, that's the exact opposite of what it was like here. It really is. That's so interesting how different it can be. Before we go too far, we keep off. I love you. Exe has stopped working. That's the name of his channel. Said that he wanted to say that Cesar Villapando and his Veterantos are definitely who made COVID. That's a reference to Grand Theft Auto San Andreas, by the way.
Okay.
There's an inside joke here I'm leading up to. His next comment says they made it in El Corano, that is near Los Santos Airport. That's the joke. Is El Corano? I'm sorry. Yeah, El Corano. El Corana. Is it? Oh, I'm sorry. Corano. Is how do you pronounce that? El Corana. El Corana. I can't even pronounce it there. Whenever I make a video where I go to that part of the game, people always comment in there. They say, "Oh, Corona, Corona." I would say, I can't pronounce it. Corona. Excuse me, El Corona. Anyway, that's the joke. Is that that he that they're from El Corona and that's where the virus came from. So that Cesar Villapando is part of a gang in the game, and just in case you're wondering. So anyway, I wanted to read the comments. They're kind of the comments are kind of silly. I just wanted to add that to that. So oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, yeah, where I was, I think I left off where where in this area, um, yeah, I was talking to people and like everyone I was talking to was like they were like all like they were like there was no big deal, and then I would talk to other people online or over the phone, and they were like the exact opposite. They were like they were terrified, like you're saying, they were utterly scared, and I was like, really? I was so perplexed as to how it was so radically different from the people I was talking to in my area versus people over the phone. And I, the did you encounter anybody who was like kind of like me, just like more like, well, it's just something we have to deal with. Not, I wasn't like because I wasn't terrified, I wasn't scared. I just thought it's just another disease we'd have to deal with, like all the other stuff we've heard about over the past couple of decades. I like I said, I don't think it should be. It should be taken seriously, but not as seriously as they were taking it.
Yes. I encountered people on both sides of on opposite ends of the spectrum. I guess you would say I have friends who are still pretty terrified right now, And then I have friends who are like, well, you got to go back to life. What are you going to do? It's like what you're saying. We have to deal with it, right? You can't stop living of because there's a virus. You have to do what you got to do and do anything you can to take extra precautions, but not let it paralyze you.
Hmm. Hmm.
Mhm.
And that's kind of like my attitude. And I remember, do you remember the anthrax scare back in like 2001 or 2002? Do you remember that?
Yes, they were like sending it in the mail, weren't they?
Yeah, yeah, and they shut down the post office where I one of the major post office hubs, not just the post office, but like a major distribution hub in DC. So like really crippled the post office, the postal delivery in the whole DC area because of that. That was something that was taken very seriously, and but they didn't shut down entire businesses. They didn't just tell everyone they couldn't go to, they had to start worrying about, I don't think masks would have really mattered, but I mean, they didn't do anything that was that high. It seems like this one was a major overreaction to me because at first the idea was that people are going to die and there was going to be a major death. There was the tally was going to be really high, and it turned out it wasn't as high as they predicted. And in fact, it was much lower. And at that point, I started realizing, well, why are we getting so? I mean, I'm sorry, I'm sorry that people die, but I mean, it's not as bad as they were saying it was going to be. And at that point, I was like, why don't we just get back to normal, like it was before? And that it seemed like they wouldn't. I don't know how you feel, but it just seemed like it was just maybe it's because I'm in the area I'm in. A lot of people have felt the same way. We just want to get back to the way it was. It's like it seemed like they were just kept on carrying on and on and on, and then eventually they removed the mask mandate back in Memorial Day, and they haven't reinstated it except for the schools. And everybody I talk to seems to be like real cool with it. No, they're like no big deal. It's I don't know. I don't go out very much myself. It's only because I'm dedicated to my business right now. But
Mhm.
when I do talk to people, it's not like a big deal. So
Mhm. Yeah, I think here a lot of people are going back to like the attitude that you're saying that you're encountering where people are just they're like, okay, enough. Like we were on lockdown long enough. It's time to just go back to life and do what we need to do to stay as safe as we can, but not go back onto a lockdown. Not go backwards.
right,
I think what's happening right now with these vaccine mandates, it's just not right, and all they're doing is causing more separation now. So you're telling me that people can't pa- patronize, like you say, patronize a business because they're not vaccinated? Like how are these businesses going to be affected by that? And
hmm,
how can you stop people from going to business, like going into a restaurant? Like,
right,
if you want, I agree with what you were saying earlier. If you want to be vaccinated, that's totally fine. It's totally your choice. I'm not saying don't vaccinate because there are things that could happen. Everybody needs to do what works for them. But I don't think that people should be shunned to their homes either.
right.
If
Uh,
they're.
And how are they exactly? How are they supposed to survive at that point? So they can't get food. They can't. they, yes, but yeah, I had heard something about the New York. About not too long ago, I had heard something about New York was going to do that. As far as I know, where I'm at, they're not doing anything that strict as of yet. So, uh, the
Mhm.
oth- the other thing they keep on talking about is the COVID passport. Have you heard about that? I'm not sure if that's the exact term, but basically, having to prove that you've gotten the vaccine in some way. Have you heard about that?
Well, yeah, because there's vaccination cards. So, see, yeah, like I guess that's what they're saying, like a passport. Like you can go, but you have to have your vaccine proof.
Okay. Oh, okay. Okay. So, wow. Okay. So I didn't know that. I gotcha. Gotcha. So you have to actually walk in and actually show that. Is that right?
Yeah, so I also teach at a yoga studio, which I think we spoke about last week. I teach yoga, and my boss was saying that by September 13th, they're going to be enforcing the fact that we have to check vaccine cards, or else people can't practice in studio.
Wow. That's
Mhm.
interesting. How about like as far as employees? Is there like more? Are the employee regulations a little more stringent?
That honestly, that I don't know, and I'm waiting to hear something about that because I don't know if we're gonna have to be vaccinated, if all workers are gonna have to be vaccinated, if it's gonna be where we're tested. I think what they were doing in New York City public schools was that if any staff members decided not to be vaccinated, they would have to be tested once a week.
Twisted once a week? Wow.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. That's
Mhm.
and it, that's a pretty, I mean, that's interesting. Yeah, right now, from what I understand, where I'm at, it's like basically you can't go in. You're supposed to wear you can't. Okay, how this is how it works. There is no mask requirements anymore in the state except for the schools, but a business can require someone to wear a mask if they have not been vaccinated. So I actually called up my supermarket right after that went into effect. I said, "How would you actually prove that?" And the woman on the phone just started getting real angry. I said, "Okay, I didn't mean to get her upset." I don't remember what she was doing. I said, "I'm sorry." I just kind of hung up. I said, it's okay," and I just hung up the phone real quickly. So,
Look at you ruffling people's feathers, making them all uncomfortable.
and but yeah, that's the only requirements, or businesses can enforce people to do it. But and I did go to a restaurant a couple weekends ago with my sister and her husband, and we walked into no mandate, no requirements or anything. They didn't ask us anything. We just sat down. I will say it was kind of vacant. There weren't very many people around, and I don't go to restaurants very often. My sister said that was kind of common. So I don't know if you go to restaurants, but she said there's usually not very many people in the restaurants anymore. So, um, and she asked me if I was afraid to go out, and I said, "No, no, I'm not really. I just, if I just, I'm just very careful, when I'm around people and everything. But I don't, I'm not terrified. Oh, you're talking about the gloves. There was one woman when they first started shutting things down at the beginning of last year. When I was at the checkout at the grocery store, there was a woman in front of me, and she was wearing plastic gloves. She was wearing a mask, and she was wearing something on her head or something. I don't remember what it was, and I started to put my groceries on the count on the thing, and she started screaming at me that she hadn't paid yet. I did, and apparently there was I didn't notice. Apparently they wanted you to wait to put your groceries on there and like have like a distance between everybody. And I was like, oh, I just backed off. I was like, she was that was the only person I saw that was actually really terrified. I was like, I think she was just going a little overboard. Even the person at the cash register was like acting like she was going overacting. I mean, he could see, I saw his reaction, like he was just like, like giving us weird look. But that's the only person I ever saw that actually had like had a fear. Everyone else, like so far I've seen, it's just like they're like, yeah, it's not a big deal. But like I said, I don't usually go out that much anyway because none of this has actually really affected me that much. Because I've always run out for the past 15 years. I've been running my business out of my home anyway, so I don't really go out. So nothing really changed for me that much. So it was like everything was pretty much business as usual. All the people that work for me work out of their own homes or their locations, so we don't interact anyway. So it wasn't like a big deal.
Yeah, so it's not like you were affected really. I mean, we're all affected by it, of course, but it's not like it changed the way that you go about your day to day.
Yeah, yeah, exactly, exactly. So,
Mhm.
well, I hope everything works out with you with the New York stuff. Is that New York City or is that the entire state? You might have said that already.
It's the that's a really good question. It's the city right now?
Hmm.
Yeah, it's the city, but I don't know. I hope that it doesn't pass. It's causing so much separation, that's what upsets me more than anything else. It's not saying, "Oh, you need to be vaccinated, you need to do this." It's the separation that's happening, and it's the fighting, the debating that's going on. It's just it's very sad.
Hmm. Hmm. Now, as far as the any of this, is this affecting you personally, or is this just basically on a more higher level? I
Yeah,
guess.
no, it's more on a higher level right now, but I don't know what it's gonna look like what with teaching at the yoga studio and going to restaurants soon. I don't know what it's gonna look like.
Mhm.
I'll keep you posted.
Okay.
I'll let you know if anything changes by next week, you know?
Okay. Okay. I'm curious as to what happens there. All right. Well,
Mhm.
was interesting. Well, let's see let's get back to these questions here. So Bermuda Triangle, we got next one down. A second, I gotta get my mouse. There it is. A bunch of flags there. I don't know what the flags are. Canada, I recognize that one. I don't recognize. I'm sorry, I don't know the other flags. Sorry.
Is that one
Scott.
China or no?
Is it China? Let's
I
see.
don't know.
Give me a second here.
Japan?
Yeah, I can do here. I can enlarge that. Give me a second. I think, can I enlarge this?
No, that's not China.
Oh, there we go. A little bit more. There we go. Uh,
I think Japan.
Japan. Oh, yeah. Yeah, maybe. Let's see. There we go. Those are the, looks like, is that the American flag in the third one, I guess? Not
Yeah,
sure.
it looks like it.
Is that Israel? And that Greece, maybe? I think that's Greece. And the one in the middle is that
Yes.
Japan? The one with the red dot? Okay.
Yep.
Okay. There we go. I'll go ahead and put that back there. All right. That's pretty good. Go back to, there we go, actual size. Scotland or Ireland. I've part, I'm also, I told you I was Italian, I'm part Irish and supposedly part Scottish too. I'm not sure. My grandfather, apparently before he died, disclosed the fact that he had Scottish in him before, he never told anybody until shortly before he died. So my family's like, they're not sure if that's real or not. So, never been there though. Let's see. In heaven, the, what's that? What's Door, I can't read that one. Sorry. Cali, LA, California, Los Angeles. Let's see, Manasor Lake and some Kashmir, the UK. I'm not. I think. Well, I'm not gonna. I don't know if I read all of these. So just look at these. North Carolina, New York. I hear Afghanistan is nice about now. Brazil is good. Brazil again. The same person. Los Angeles. Have you ever been to Los Angeles? I think you have. Did you say you've been there? Maybe I'm.
No, I haven't been to Los Angeles.
Oh, sorry, thought you had. I've
Oh.
been there once. It seemed like a okay place. I was only there for like less than a day actually. So, um, drove over there, drove through. I do remember the one scary thing, freeways, and there was a guy with his kid. He was driving, and he had his kid in his lap while he was driving. The kid was actually like, if there were an accident, that kid would have been crushed by that steering wheel, I'm sure. So, that was the weirdest thing I saw when I was over there. That's all I remember though. Um, San Fierro.
Was that a long time ago? I feel like how did they get away with not having the kid in a car seat?
Yeah, that was a while. That was a while ago.
Oh.
It was more like that was during the 1990s for sure. So, uh, yeah, I don't even back then though it looked really odd. So, and the kid, I'm guessing probably couldn't have been more than a couple years old, maybe 2 or 3. So, San Fierro, at least before you have to everything up. This is from the game. This is from San Andreas, just in case you want to. San Fierro is one of the big cities, and the line before I effed everything up. That's the line from the line from the game. Las Vegas, Oi, I get that a lot. Uh, something can't read it. Tennessee says key something. Oh, he's got a little thing there. I can't see what that is. Don't know what that is. Saint Martin. Is that what that says? Martin. Liberty City, which is another big part of the Grand Theft Auto universe. Japan. Yeah, there's the Japanese flag again. The moon. Interesting. Oh, that was interesting. What was the question again? Where would you be your favorite place to vacation? Okay. At first, I thought I didn't realize that's the first one that was not of Earth. So, Northern Europe. That's a broad one. I think we got to this one maybe. Hawaii, Tokyo. I've been able to afford a vacation over San. Yeah, I think we saw these right here. These are the ones we saw. Sweet Home Alabama, Indonesia. I can't read the first part. Lombok. Sorry if I'm mispronouncing that. Iceland, Ganton, which is a fictional place in San Andreas again. Crete, uh, Bermuda Triangle. Homie in on homie. Oh, on home. That's another place we could put on there. I'm surprised there are not a lot of people put in there. What's your favorite place to vacation? Home would probably be a big one, I think, if we put that in there. So, like if people are just on vacation, they just want to spend time at home, I guess. So,
Yeah, staycation. That's very popular now, right?
uh-huh. And let's see the rest of these. I don't see anything that's. I'm kind of skipping through these because I think we already read most of these earlier. So, but yeah, I don't see anything that really stands out. But yeah, okay. Well, thanks everybody for participating in that. And did you have a question for this week for everybody?
Oh, I didn't even think of anything. Do you have anything?
Hmm. Do you are you afraid of spider crickets?
Oh, yeah, that's a good one. I'm a definite yes, hard yes.
Okay. My dad, I said I told you my dad didn't like these things. He called them something else though. He didn't call them spider crickets though. That's I can't remember what he called them. So, are you afraid? I'm just trying to remember what it is. Of spider crickets. I spelled that. Are you afraid of spider crickets? Is that good? You like that one?
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yes. No. Any other responses?
Mm,
I don't
what's
care.
what's a spider cricket?
Okay. Yeah, that's good. I like that. What's a spider cricket?
I'm telling you, I never heard of them until somebody told me what it was called. I just thought it was a cricket.
The and they're very harmless. They don't do anything. But I don't remember them making a loud noise. I wonder if you're the ones you said they were very loud. Is that right?
Yeah, maybe it wasn't a spider cricket. They were gigantic though.
Hmm.
Whoa.
You ever seen the I'll put down I don't care is one of the responses. And any other responses?
Mm, no, I hate all bugs, maybe.
Oh, okay. That's a good one. That's a really good one. Okay. I hate all bugs. Are you afraid of spider crickets? Yes, no. What's a spider cricket? I don't care and I hate all bugs. Does that look good?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. I'm gonna post that. There we go. So we'll come back and check that out. So the bugs I have you ever seen the large spiders? Are you afraid of spiders at all?
Uh, the big ones.
The no, these I don't know if you've ever seen these. I'll bring a picture of them up here. Where is they at? This isn't exactly what I was going to show you, but spiders that are over a foot long.
Oh, is that what is that inside of a car door? That thing is huge.
Yeah. This one's fake. That's fake right there. That's not real.
Okay.
That was not real. Um, but this one I do believe. That one on the far right here at the top right. That one I do believe is real. A lot of these are real. I think. Yeah, obviously that one was just trying to make it look bigger than it actually was. Where's New Zealand?
Whoa.
Hold on a second. New Zealand. Let me put that in here. This bug. I misspelled New Zealand. Where are they at? The biggest spider in the world is a foot long, and it's only in New Zealand. It's a huge spider, and they've only recently discovered, or the people that live there probably knew about it, but worldwide, it was only recently found out about. So, but I was trying to find out. When I saw it, I was like, that would freak. If I see a spider that's about anywhere more than maybe 2 inches long, that's when I start to freak out. But if they're small spiders, I usually don't freak out. So, um, there's not too many big spiders where I'm at. I do get freaked out if I see like a black widow spider once in a while, like one of these. You ever seen one of those?
Yes.
The little-
Oh.
but usually for spiders, I usually let them live. I don't because they usually kill the other bugs. So I don't usually try to kill them because if they build if they build a nice web or something, maybe they can catch all the other bugs that are outside. I right now have a major mosquito issue outside of my house, which is really annoying. And my sister was over. I told you my sister came over and we went out to dinner with her husband. And before they did, I walked around my property, and by the time we left, she already had like 3 or 4 mosquito bites on her. And they're just so bad where they are where I'm at right now. And I walk outside, and I have to make sure I wear like I can't wear shorts. I have to wear long pants and long sleeve shirts just so I don't get bit. Otherwise, I'm like my legs will be all swollen up by the time I walk back inside. They're just so bad. I've never seen them this bad before. I don't know what's going on. So
Yeah, but we have a lot of mosquitoes too in our yard, and it's frustrating because you want to enjoy like a nice summer night outside, right? You want to have like maybe a few drink, you want to have a cocktail, hang out, have some friends over. We've sprayed up with bug spray and we're still getting bitten.
oh
It's
geez.
horrible.
I don't know what's worse than where I live, if it's the bugs or my neighbor lives across the from me. He likes to play his music really, really loud sometimes, which is just gets annoying after a while. So,
Ugh, that's so frustrating. We have these people behind us. They're like diagonal behind us in their yard, but I can hear it in my bedroom window, and they have parties. Oh, so it's like it's late at night. I go to bed early, but it was like late at night on the weekend on a Sunday night, and you have to get up for work in the morning. It's very frustrating.
oh yes, yes. I will say, the neighbor across from me, they'll play their music really loud. It didn't bother me at first. They would do it really loud on Saturday nights only, and then when the government started shutting all the businesses down at the beginning of last year, I guess he wasn't able to work, so he started playing his music 6 nights a week at least, maybe 7, I don't remember, but it's like every night, and that's when it started to get to me. 'Cause like I was like, and I wake up and it would be like midnight or 1 o'clock in the morning. Literally, I'm not. That's not an exaggeration. It was like I'd look, it would be midnight or 1, and his music was blaring really loud. I was like, oh, please, I just wanted to walk around and tell him that I didn't say anything. But one night in particular, I do remember the music for some reason cranked up really loud, like almost like somebody, either like they accidentally pumped up the volume or they purposely did. I don't know, but it was like incredibly loud. And it was like after midnight. At that point, I was going to walk over. After about 2 or 3 minutes, it just all of a sudden the music just shut off altogether. I don't know what that was about, but it was like, I don't know. But I will say about a month ago, they were having a party with some friends and they had their music really loud. And usually I can't stand the rain. All of a sudden, like within 20 minutes after they started their party, a huge rainstorm came in. They turned their music off, and then when the rain went dissipated, they didn't turn their music back on. So I was like, okay, this is one of the few times where I actually like the heavy rain. It worked in my favor. So
Yeah, that's really frustrating. And then you feel like if you say something, then you're the bad guy, right? But they're the ones that are blasting music until 2 o'clock in the morning, and people are trying to sleep. It drives me crazy. That's like one of those things with me. I don't know. I don't know if you're like this, where if I don't get a good night's sleep, I am not the nicest person the next day.
oh
So it's like, I, I'm sorry. What'd you say?
no, I'm sorry. I said oh. That's all. I just said oh. Go ahead.
Okay, yeah, because if I don't get my sleep, I am not a nice person to talk to the next day. So it's two things with me. If I don't sleep good, and if I'm hungry. If I get hungry, I get nasty. So I get angry. So yeah. So I'm the one that I would want to open the window and just scream out, like, shut that friggin' music off, you know?
And then what they'll do is they'll record you a video of you screaming, and then they'll put it on YouTube, and then they'll say, "Look at our loony neighbor," without any context, so they won't know why you're getting angry. So you'll get to, like you said, you'll look like the bad guy at that point. So
Yeah, sucks.
in fact, that happened to my sister. My sister told me something like that, not with music, but something similar. Some guy. Now I don't. You don't have any kids, do you? I don't have any kids. Do you have any kids?
No, I have a dog.
Oh. Well, my sister has 2 sons, and this she was somewhere, and I think it was like it might have been a place where the kids can walk around and play inside, a lot of equipment or something. Anyway, this guy was filming her son, and at first she wasn't sure if he really was. Then he went into this some other part of this, whatever they were at, and he followed her son in there, and that's when she walked in there and started she laid it out on him. She started cussing him out, tell him not to do that. And I told her be very careful, obviously, because all he has to do is the guy was denied. He said, I wasn't doing anything with your son. And of course, my sister is very, very protective of her kids. So she wasn't going to tolerate anything. I told her to, be very careful, because all the guy had to do was just take the video and upload it to somewhere, and of her screaming and cussing him out and not give any proper context, and make her look like she's the bad guy when it's actually him that's following her son around. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's a tough position to be in, because she's like mama bear, she wants to protect her cubs. But then it's like what you're saying, if he posted that somewhere and then took it out of context, who knows? It could have ended up on the news.
Yeah. 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 So,
We live in a time right now where things are recorded and then they're not forgotten, right?
right. Yeah. Yeah. And, and people, and it happens a lot too. Like, when I was, you don't hear I always, my argument, whenever I say something, if something happens to me, like I always say, it's make sure you hear the other person's point of view. You're only I'm going to tell you something that happened to me, but try to find just remember that I'm only telling you my point of view because I'm trying to be fair and honest about something. And when I was teaching several years ago, the one of my students, every once in a while I get a student that would go above my head because they didn't like something about the class or whatever. It was usually because what happened, they weren't showing up, and I would basically tell them that they weren't allowed to be taking more classes. So they go to the dean of the humanities, and they'd say to the dean something to the effect, "Well, hey, I was showing up all the time, and he's not letting me take the class anymore." And the dean would say, "Okay, I'm going to let you go into the class." And I'd go to the dean and say, "Wait a minute, you didn't hear my side of the story. You only heard their side of the story. The student missed 3 or 4 classes. There's only 16 classes per semester. What they met once a week. It was a 16-week course. And they already missed like 3 or 4 of the classes. That's like almost a fourth. That's about a fourth of the entire semester. And I can't let them back in because they've missed way too much." And after I told him that, they go, "Oh, okay." And then he would apologize to me because he didn't listen to both sides of a story. It's the same thing with the context. You got to make sure you understand what's going on from everyone's point of view. And it gets really frustrating. So that was one of the most frustrating things is they did that a lot when I was teaching. They would always listen to someone else's point of view before getting my point of view first and automatically assume that the person that was making the accusations was the one that was correct. Whereas there was another side to the story that was very relevant, that was very, would definitely paint a completely different picture. And I never understood why they would do that. It was the only place I ever worked at where they ever did that. And it was very, very frustrating.
Yeah, that is frustrating, especially when you're dealing with, I don't want to say like students are bad, but you're dealing with students who like they're worried about their grades, they're worried about, getting dropped from classes. So they're not telling whole truths, they're like, "Oh, well, it's all his fault."
Yeah.
Then you're like, "Wait a second, like here's the full story. Like let's get this in the proper context." I don't know if you've ever heard that saying too, like there's not only two sides to the story, there's three sides to the story. Like there's your side, my side, and then the truth
Oh,
somewhere in the middle.
yeah, yeah. Yes, I have heard that. Yes, yes. Yeah, I do. In fact, one of the scenarios that happened was a student hadn't shown up for like 4 or 5 weeks. What happened was he signed up for the class and it was like the fourth or fifth week into the semester, so he had already missed more than a fourth of the classes so far, and I already missed 2 tests, an exam, or not an exam, but 2 of the crucial tests. And I told him he wasn't allowed to get in, so his mother went to the dean, and which is kind of strange because there was all adults in there. I guess he was like maybe still kind of young, but his mother went to the dean, and that's when the mother actually said, "No, my son's been attending all these classes," and he believed her without coming to me, and I was like, "Wait a minute." So yeah, it's and then after that, the funny part is the dean forced him into the class, and after I told him he didn't do anything, so the student was allowed to come to the class, but then he stopped showing up anyway. So so not only did he miss the first 4 or 5 classes, after that he showed up for one class and he would show up sporadically. I was like, what is the point of this? He obviously is going to get an F now anyway. So it's like he's not even showing up. There's only, like I said, only 16 classes per semester. He's missed the first 5. Now he's not showing up for the rest of them. It's like it was just the whole thing was just pointless. I was wondering what his mother was going to say after that because I never heard anything after that. So
It's so interesting. I assisted directed a play for a college a few years ago, and one of the students, what he wasn't showing up, and he had one of the lead roles. And so the director said, "Enough is enough." He's like, "I'm dropping this kid from the play. He's not doing the play." And it was like a week before we were supposed to go up. We were supposed to like the performances were supposed to go up. The mother shows up at the school and is really upset, and she's talking to the director, and the director's like, "What do you want me to do?" He's like, "Your son did not show up for rehearsals that other people took the time to be here late at night after their classes to work on their characters and things like that." And the mother was like, "Oh, but please let him back, let him back." And you know what, the director did let him back in at the end of it, but I don't know. It's like exactly what you're saying. Like the parents show up, and then after the kids, I guess, learn their lesson in a bad way. But then you said the kid didn't even show up anyway. So what was the point?
yeah, yeah, yeah. So so this situation with this one student that didn't show up, did they did what happened with the play? Was it okay? Did it work out?
Yeah, the director he caved. He let the kid back in the play.
But I mean, how well did the play go? I mean, was it okay? I mean, did it go
Yeah,
okay?
the kid was great. Yeah.
Oh, really? That's funny. That's funny. I sometimes have dreams that I'm still in school and I didn't show up for the entire class, and then I show up for like the last class at the last minute. I don't know why I still have dreams like that. Like I'm acting out the parts of my students that didn't show up for school for some reason. So
I have dreams like that too, where I'm like one class or one credit away from graduation, and I can't get they can't get me the class, and I missed the class, and it's so interesting too. And I have 2 degrees, so I finished twice, but it's like I don't know where those dreams come from.
yeah. I've yet to have a dream where some people say they're naked. I don't think I've ever had a dream where I've walked around naked or something yet. So I'm always clothed as far as I know. So
Now I'm thinking too. I'm like I got quiet because I'm thinking about that. I think I'm good too. But now watch. After we said this tonight, we'll both have dreams like that.
yeah. I know. My dad is a he's a big fan of dreams. He claims have you when you're asleep, can you see your hands and your feet? I'm just curious.
Like in the dream, you mean?
Yes, in the dream. And can you see your hands and your feet?
I don't know.
Because my dad claims that you can't, and I told him, I don't know if you know what lucid. Do you know what lucid dreaming is?
Yeah, it's like when you're still kind of awake, right? You're not it's not
Uh,
your subconscious.
you're not well. You're actually asleep, but you're able to control the dreams. You're able to control what's going on around you. And so I was asleep. I used to be able to do it better when I was younger. As I've gotten older, I've probably because I'm so busy all the time, I just don't really think about it. But I used to be able to control my dreams better. And when I was asleep one time, I actually looked down. I said, I looked down. Sure enough, I could see both my hands and my feet in my dream. And my dad was like astonished. He said, "Really?" He's like, "I didn't think, you know." He's like really adamant about the idea that you can't see your hands and your feet in your dreams. And I looked, and I was just curious if you'd ever heard that before. And before that, he said that I never really thought about it. It wasn't until he said it that I decided while I was sleeping one time to actually try it out. And I actually said, and there've been other dreams where I've not been lucid dreaming where I look down and I've actually seen my feet for the very, not necessarily my hands so much, but I've actually seen my feet walking around. So just looking around. I was just curious if that was a thing. Basically, the way he was describing it almost comes across like maybe you're just a bodiless entity in your dreams and you just can't see anything. So I don't know.
Wow, that's a pretty cool concept. So are we making up our form?
That's a good question. I I know for me, when I was lucid dreaming, I would if I wanted to get out of a situation, I would just jump out of it real quickly. So I assume my body was the body I had. I would just basically jump and almost float away and fly away as quickly as I could if I didn't want to be there. So which is something if you ever experience lucid dreaming to its fullest capacity, it's actually quite interesting because you know you're asleep, and you can just do whatever you want. You can control what's going to happen next. You can actually control the people around you. It's pretty fun actually. If you like I said, I haven't done it at that level for a long time. It's probably because like I said, I'm so busy with my work and everything. But back when I was younger and I didn't have much to do, it's like my mind I was controlling everything around me. And it was a lot of the dreams as well. But yeah, as far as like what do I look like, I never really thought about it before. I don't remember. I just I until he said that, I guess I never really thought of what kind of form I was taking. I just assumed I was just my actual form when I was awake. So
That's so interesting. There was a show recently, like a mini series, I think that my husband and I watched. And in the show, they were people that could lucid dream. It was so interesting. I have to look up the name of it. I don't remember what I even watched it on.
hmm.
It was like HBO or Netflix or Hulu. I don't remember, but if anybody is listening and knows what I'm talking about, type in the chat box because I don't remember the name of the show, but it was really good.
Was the show like was it like fictional show or was it this actually real people that were actually doing that?
No, it was fictional.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Mhm.
The yeah, that's interesting. The oh, there was oh, I can't remember. Then there was the name of a movie where the guy was controlling his dreams recently within the past. I say recently, probably like within the past 5 or 6 years. Um, I can't remember what it's called now. And he was he was actually controlling his dreams. And it was a popular movie too. I can't remember what it is. Oh well, I'll remember as soon as we're done with the show. And so
Was it Inception? Is that what you're talking about?
I think that was it. Yeah, is that it? Yeah, yeah. That
Mhm.
was I wouldn't say it was like lucid dreaming though, but I haven't seen the movie for a long time for a while. I saw it once and I kind of forgot about it. It was he actually was how much was he controlling in that dream? Do you remember? Did you have you seen the movie?
Yeah, I've seen it, but I don't know. I think you don't know like the ends of it. At the ends of it, it's like a whole big like I don't know if we know how much he's controlling, but he's basically controlling the whole thing.
Mhm.
Because he has like a girl come into the dream with him to create the dream. Like he teaches her how to make the dreams.
Hmm.
Like she's building buildings in the dream and building like bridges and things like that and mazes. So they get lost in there.
Yeah, I have to watch it again. Unfortunately my attention span for movies and TV shows get unless it's something that's really attention grabbing. I just kind of phase out sometimes. I hate to admit that. So, and this is one of those movies where I just kind of like phased out. I remember something with a little spinning top at the very end. Like I think it's a little Jewish toy, and it was like I don't
Yep,
remember. I
that's it.
don't. Yeah, that's all. I don't remember what it was though. That's all I remember seeing that. So.
Yeah, I
And
don't want to ruin it. I don't want to ruin it for anybody, so I don't want to tell you why. But if you go back and watch it, you'll know what that meant.
yeah. Well, let's see. Did you well well we basically already asked our question. I guess I guess we can go and start wrapping everything up here. Well, we can look at our question again. The we actually did give her some responses pretty quickly, which is kind of cool. Are you afraid of spider crickets? Says the amount of votes we got so far. 61 votes with 40%, 43% saying yes. Next down, 34% with what's a spider cricket. That was a good response. Glad you added that one. Next down, we're both tied. They're both tied with no and I hate all bugs, and 0% with I don't care. And only one response so far. It's the same one from before. I don't know what that means. It's leaves the same response from Volto85. I think that's what he left on the other one too. I don't know what that means. Sorry. If you could explain what that means, maybe we'll all get what that you'll be able to share in that. So, but I I'm actually surprised. I maybe like I said, maybe it's because I grew up with the crickets around my house. They didn't really bother me. So I don't think it's a guy thing either because I think my sister wasn't afraid of them. So she was 7 years younger than me. She never got freaked out by them. And I don't think my mother was afraid of them either. So I think we just got used to them around the house. We just didn't really they didn't bother us. I do know my dad got freaked out only when they crawled up his leg. So and that was the only time he ever like if something crawled up his leg, he would freak out. But it wasn't because it was a spider cricket. It was just because something was on his leg. I get the same way too. It's just like I feel something on my leg. I'm looking down like, oh, like I start to freak out a little bit. So, but that's about the only thing.
Yeah, I freak out when I feel something on me, and so half the time it's my hair falling out. Like if you have a lot of hair, sometimes the strands fall out. They're like my hair's everywhere, but yeah, that freaks me out
Oh,
too.
so as far as bugs, have you ever had an experience where a bug is like been on your leg or arm or something that that really freaked you out?
So not necessarily on my body, but a few years ago we had another bug that really freaks me out. We had roaches.
Oh, yuck.
I don't know where they came from, but I saw one crawling in the cabinet and I freaked out. I actually grabbed a can of hairspray and sprayed it to try to kill it.
Does hairspray work?
It worked.
God.
Oh, why'd you have to put up that picture?
I I I'll bring it back down. I want to gross you out. Sorry. I I
That's
I
okay.
I lived for about 13 years before I bought my first house. I rented a room at this like a boarding house, and the landlord was so he didn't care about the house at all, and it was full of cockroaches. Every room had cockroaches. It was and the cockroaches would leave nests of like they were we nest in the sense that they would nest together. They would like group together and they actually got into like so things of my like some of my electronic equipment and they would ruin them. It was awful. It was so vile. Um and they would also leave a grotesque odor. Once I moved out there, I've never had cockroaches ever since. And he never did anything to get rid of them either. They were just all over the place. So vile.
Ugh, they are. And you know what? Why there's so many of them? Because they lay eggs everywhere.
Yeah.
Oh, oh, and you just once when we had the exterminator come, he said once you have one, he's like, you see one, he's like, but there's so many more that you don't see.
Right. And,
Oh, oh, I have like the heebie-jeebies now. I'm itchy, I'm scratchy now.
did you know that cockroaches, some of them can fly? Did you know that?
Yes. Oh, so gross.
Well, I always thought that was like a myth or just something that was just made up for like TV or something. But when I moved to the house I have now, there are cockroaches here, but they're not in the house. They're outside the house. Once in a while, I see one flying by. So, fortunately, they're outside. They don't, and once in a while, one gets inside. And I have to, that I get rid of it really quickly. But yeah, when I moved here, I was surprised to see that they actually fly, and that was the first time I ever saw one fly, and I was like, wow. So they do actually. So the stuff I saw on TV it was real.
Yup, that's wacky. Oh,
the and the fortunately I've never I'm trying to think the bugs outside and mostly are just normal bugs you see, but I'm just surprised to see flying the cockroaches. Fortunately, it's never been a major problem since I've been here. But the house I lived in, yeah, that was a major problem. The other thing he had were these huge bees. He called them carpenter bees. I don't know what they were because I typed in carpenter bees on a search engine one time and something else came up. These things were about 3 to 4 inches long. They were huge, and they were bees, but they're big. They looked like queen bees, but all of them were huge, and they burrowed into the walls of the house, and he didn't get rid of them either. And the house was just full of roaches and what he referred to as carpenter bees, and it was so vile. The whole place was just so vile. I can't believe I lived there for as long as I did. So, but
I know it sounds like I'm surprised that this house wouldn't fall down. Like the
yeah,
walls wouldn't come down.
yeah, really, really, there was like there were holes in the walls outside. I mean, on the outside walls where you could see the bees going in and out all the time. I mean, it's like unreal. Anyway, yeah, and there was the funny part was if you looked at the house, the house was part of a neighborhood. I think the houses were built in the 1960s, and there were 4 houses that were built at the same time. That's what one of the neighbors told me, and you could see that they were different than the rest of the houses in the neighborhood. Those 4 houses, the other 3 houses looked really nice. The house we lived in was all run down and very much falling apart. So it was very obvious which was the one that had the major infestation. So,
Oh,
so
that stinks.
I hate to wrap everything up on a bug thing. You'll probably be angry at me now. So, but
No, that's okay. Actually, I'm looking in the comments, and I don't know if Jay Esteban is still here, but he said greetings from Ecuador. And my sister-in-law is actually from Ecuador. So I'm curious if he's here. Do you guys do Ecuadorian things? The Ecuadorian food is so good.
I haven't had any Ecuadorian food. What's it? Is there an example of something maybe I have?
It's like well, they drink Espirito de Ecuador, it's called. Like at Christmas time, it's like a coquito. So it's like that really good Puerto Rican drink. It's very similar to like Puerto Rican food,
Hmm.
Ecuadorian food. But
Okay.
but it's so cute because whenever like my brother's family has people over for the holidays, the Ecuadorian side, they're a little bit shorter. So they're like everybody's so sweet and they're short and cute.
That's funny. He left a comment there as well. The very last comment says jumping spiders. Um, I don't know if you want to see this, but there's some jumping spiders. So,
They're actually kind of cute. They
oh,
look
really?
like they look like cartoons.
Okay, I thought you were gonna be freaked. I thought you were gonna say they were grotesque. I wasn't sure. So,
They're kind of cute. Look at their little eyes.
yeah, I don't think I've ever seen that. Looks like a little alien. That's pretty funny. Actually, that one looks like a little pet. Like you'd have that as a pet. So,
It does.
so yeah. Thank you, Jay Esteban, for the comment there. So, alrighty. Well, did you have anything else? Did you want to add before we wrap everything up?
No, just thank you everybody for joining us and for answering the question.
Yeah, and we for next week we can come back and we'll re-examine that and see what kind of responses we get. I don't think it's going to change that much. Um, we'll see. So once in a while, it does change it. Like the answer. What happens is the answer will be. If I've said this, forgive me for repeating myself, but we'll have one answer that's overwhelmingly in one direction, and then like the next week could come back and it's like it's gone the exact opposite. We'll get like the answer that would be contrary to that, will have surpassed that in some amazing percentage. It's weird how that happens. I can't explain it, but it just does. It's just kind of strange. So if we come back and it's completely different, I wouldn't be surprised. But most of the time, it does remain percentage wise. It does remain the same. So anyway, thanks Amanda for being on, and everyone else, thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you.